Hey, a quick note before we dive in. For the first time ever, I'm running a cohort of Career Reset, my group coaching program. I know that job seekers benefit from a community that gets it and a guide who understands this market. This May, we'll all start the program together. You get instant access to the full curriculum when you join, and live coaching kicks off Monday, May 4th. If you want to get a feel for it first, I'm hosting free Ask Me Anything sessions every Friday until we start. In our first session, I answer your questions on LinkedIn, resumes, interviews, consulting jobs, and how to stay current on AI. Register for the free Friday workshops at erikaparkerprice.com/AMA. Okay, now let's get into the episode. Your mind is your most powerful tool, not only in the search, anywhere in life. At a strategic level, what is most important is how you are showing up. If you're job searching right now, you're in the right place. Welcome to Land Your Next Job, the show that helps you move from ghosting and rejection to interviews and offers. I'm Erika Parker Price, a certified career coach with a background in tech who has spent nearly a decade helping professionals land roles at companies like Microsoft, Google, and mission-driven organizations. Each week, I share what's actually working in today's job market, from LinkedIn and networking to how AI is reshaping hiring. You'll get clear strategies and inspiration so you can run this marathon without burnout or guesswork. Follow the show and let's land your next job together. Hello and welcome to Land Your Next Job. I am Erika Parker Price, and today is the first of a 10-episode series. So let me introduce you to what we're going to be talking about. It is called Positive Intelligence. If you've been following along since we launched earlier this month, you may have noticed that in addition to everything I shared on day one about job search trends and market forces and AI and everything that's going on out there, there has been a fair amount of focus on your mind, on your brain, and how you use it to show up in the job search. So episode 6, I shared that the only thing you get to control is your thoughts. Episode 8, I talked about choosing courage over confidence and choosing those thoughts that would allow you to move forward with courage, even when it was something that you'd never done before. The reason I'm doing this is because your mind is your most powerful tool, not only in the search, anywhere in life. When it comes to the search, there are tactics, and I definitely work with clients on the really tactical, detailed level, on resumes, on LinkedIn, on interviews. All of that is true. But at a strategic level, what is most important is how you are showing up. What is it that you're thinking as you take all of the important actions that are going to lead to your next job? And one of the things I've shared is about how you can choose your thoughts. It is not about just forcing your brain to move to positive thoughts. But how do you actually choose your thoughts? Is it just forcing a thought? Do you just say, I'm going to think positively, I'm going to make myself believe that positive thought? No, that's not what I'm talking about. That truly is toxic positivity, not what I am here for. What I'm going to introduce you to is a really powerful system called positive intelligence. It's called PQ for short, just like EQ and IQ are short for emotional intelligence and your intelligence quotient. That's how that naming works. Positive intelligence, or PQ, is essentially an operating system for our brains. It is the way our brain works. And for the next 2 weeks, this podcast is actually going to be daily. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking that you came here for job search strategy, not a mindset reset. And believe me, I get it. Here is what I have learned from working with hundreds of clients. The tactics only work if your head is in the right place. So that's exactly what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. Make sure that your most powerful job search tool is working for you, not against you. Today's going to be the longest episode, and then the 10 that we do over the next 2 weeks, that'll be Monday through Friday. They're going to be short and very specific to the 10 different ways that we as humans sabotage ourselves. Positive Intelligence is a program that's designed by somebody named Shirzad Chamine. There's a book out there called Positive Intelligence, and it's all backed in neuroscience and psychology. And I'm going to be doing a deeper dive into this entire system. It's been studied on over 1 million people, and it's all based on root cause analysis in terms of how the researchers determined what are the negative thoughts that people actually have. You get to benefit from all of that science. So it is all about how you can notice any negative patterns and then get your brain to be at peak performance during what is a challenging time, right? If you're out there looking for a job, if you're applying and interviewing and networking, you want to be at your top performance. Your brain, just like any other part of your body, needs to be performing at its top fitness. So that's what we're talking about today is mental fitness. How do you get your brain to be in the best shape? I'm going to introduce you to this 3-step reset process. This is something that can happen in just a matter of seconds. The first step is to notice your negative thought. There's a name for this step. It's called Saboteurs because this is how we sabotage our brain. The second step is to interrupt and take command of your brain. I call that self-command. And the third step is to shift to a positive mindset. That particular step is called SAGE. It's moving from your saboteur brain to your SAGE brain. So that 3-step reset is going to be what we're talking about today. But before we get into that, I want to ask, why is it important that we actually shift to the positive? Why can't we just stay in that negative space? Why can't we just white knuckle our way through the job search? And the reason that it's so important is that any thoughts that you're having, any of those negative thoughts drive how you show up. So if you're thinking, I'm never going to get this job as you're applying for the job, that actually shows up in how you're applying for it. It may prevent you from actually submitting the application. It might impact what you write in the application. If you're thinking, nobody's ever going to look at this, whatever, you go ahead and put things in there which maybe aren't going to be in your best favor. And like I said, you may just never even submit it. That same thing is true when it comes to showing up for an interview. If you're thinking those negative thoughts as you go into an interview, that's 100% going to show up. So what I want to do is help people get to that point where they can show up from the positive side and start bringing alignment between what you're capable of doing and what the companies are looking for, because that's really what it's all about. Companies out there have a problem and they're looking for the right person that can solve that problem. Once you can get those two together, that's where you have your match. And that's why you need to show up as your best version of yourself, whether you're applying, networking, interviewing. Okay, so let's dive into the first step of the 3-step reset plan. The first step is to notice the negative thoughts. I call those saboteurs. Think about a negative thought that shows up for you when you're on the job search. Go ahead and think about it right now. I'll give you a couple examples. I should be applying to more jobs. I should be networking more. I'm too old. I'm too young. This isn't where I thought I'd be right now. I'm not good enough. And that last one can really be at the base of a lot of different thoughts. Those are the kinds of negative thoughts that I'm talking about that show up for people in the search. And so the question is, how do we flip it? And I'm going to give you that framework on how to notice these negative thoughts. I mentioned the name saboteur earlier. There are 10 different saboteurs, 10 different ways that humans sabotage themselves. And it's not a limitless way. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to the 10 different ways we sabotage our brains. You'll get a brief introduction today, and then next Monday when I come back, I will be going each and every weekday through one of those individual ones. So while I'm talking about these 10 different saboteurs, I want you to be listening for yourself because you're going to notice some of these tendencies in yourself. One of these is universal, meaning we all have it, and the other 9 are very different in each of us. So these are things that have been in us since childhood, and quite frankly, they were very protective of us as children. They can also be our superpowers, but superpowers taken too far can turn to the negative side. So let's start out with the first one, the one that we all have, and that is the judge. We judge in 3 different ways as humans. And it depends on who you are, the time of life that you're in, which of these is going to be most prominent. But I'll tell you the 3 different ways. We judge ourselves, we judge other people, and then we judge the world around us as well. So think about that just for a minute. What is it that you're judging right now in this job search? Are you judging yourself? Are you judging other people, like the recruiter that hasn't called you back, or just the overall market altogether, the world, the way things have happened? The judge is the only one that's universal, but we're going to walk through the next 9, and I want you to pay attention and see if you hear yourself in any of these. There is also a 5-minute free quiz that you can take that will tell you which of these saboteurs is highest in yourself. I will put that up on my website. It will be up on erikaparkerprice.com/PQ. And I'll tell you that again at the end. So feel free to just listen right now. Pay attention to the ones that maybe resonate with you, but you'll have plenty of time to take that quiz before we do the individual episodes on each of these saboteurs starting next Monday. The second saboteur is the avoider. And this one's pretty obvious just based on the word itself. This is somebody who's not going to do this today. They are avoiding negative things. They know they don't like this, and so they're going to choose not to do it. Procrastination is the name of the game with this particular one. Number 3 is restless. This is the person who jumps from one thing to another. They may get partway through an application, and then they decide there's an even cooler job over here, and they're going to go over to that one. And like I said, I'm going to go into each of these in much more depth. Each one's going to get its own individual episode, but we'll do a quick review right now. Number 4 is the hyperachiever. I see this show up in my clients when they come to me and they say, I don't actually think I can apply for this job yet until I get that particular certification. They are always looking for that next level of validation that they have the right qualifications. Number 5 is hypervigilant. This is the one who is very nervous, waiting for the next shoe to drop, very focused on safety and security. Number 6 is hyper-rational. You see everything as very black and white, and you assume that everybody else sees the world in that exact same way. In the job search, this may show up by having you see a job description and you can do 9 out of 10 requirements, but you don't have the 10th, so you just simply don't apply. Number 7 is the stickler, also sometimes known as more of a perfectionist. They are a rule follower and they know that everything can always be better if everyone would just follow the rules. Number 8 is the controller. This particular person faces a lot of frustration in the job search because they want to control the situation. They want to control other people, and they're just not finding that the search is something that they get to control. And finally, number 9 is the pleaser. When it comes to the job search and trying to make other people happy, those could be other people in your life, in your family, but it also frequently has an impact on the initial career that you chose, or maybe even how long you stayed in that job. So somebody who is looking to please others and thinks that they will not be appreciated unless they're doing those things for other people. And our final one is the victim. This is someone who's coming from the perspective of why me? Why does this always happen to me? How is it that I am the one that just got laid off? That gives you a summary of all 10 of the negative saboteurs, starting with the judge, the one that we all have, and then moving into the other 9, which show up in various levels in each of you. If you'd like to find out what your highest ranking saboteurs are, go to my website, erikaparkerprice.com/PQ. That's Erika with a K, erikaparkerprice.com/PQ. It's a 5-minute quiz, and it will simply tell you what your tendencies are. Most of the time, it is not surprising to people what shows up for them. Now that we have completed talking about the saboteurs, and I have you thinking about ways in which you may be sabotaging your own job search, we're going to move on to the most important part of this 3-step reset. That is step 2, where you get to command your mind. This all-important second step is as simple as spending 10 seconds of intentional focus on either one of your 5 senses or your breathing. It is simple as that. at its core, this is a type of mindfulness, but this is not saying you need to spend 20 minutes on your yoga mat meditating every day. I'm a believer in that as well. But what this is how do you interrupt your brain in the midst of the moment? If you're having a negative thought, how do you get yourself out of it? How do you do something that isn't just, hey, stop, don't think that negative thought, think this other one? If you put yourself into 10 seconds of singular focus on your breathing, and by that I just mean take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. There's lots of different breathing techniques that are out there, but just focusing on your breath for 10 seconds, what that does is it interrupts that negative thought. You can also do it with each of your 5 senses. And so I will walk through each of those with you. And we think that as humans, we're designed to be multitasking. We're designed to be doing all of these different things at once. But what I'm talking about right now is just a singular focus on a single sensation. So let's pause for just a minute and think, how would you do this if we were talking about what you see? Because we're going to do what you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. Take a look at what is right in front of you right now and just go ahead and notice it. Don't think about what the object is, just pay attention to what you see. Look at the color, notice the texture, pay attention only to the visual cues. Okay, so that is something that you can do in the midst of any sort of moment where you're trying to interrupt a negative thought. And let's keep going. This one works better if you close your eyes, but I know a lot of you listen to podcasts while you're driving, so don't close your eyes on this one. But we're going to focus on what you hear. If you're able to, close your eyes. If not, I think it'll work, just not quite as well. I want you to just pay attention to what you can hear. Go ahead and listen for the furthest away sound that you hear, and then bring your attention back into your room and notice what the closest sound is, even the sound of the podcast, the sound of your own breath. Touch. The third sense that we're going to talk about, easiest way to do this is to just take 2 fingers. Let's take your index finger and your thumb and gently rub them together, and only pay attention to what it is that you're feeling right there. Notice what it feels like on your finger. Notice what it feels like on your thumb. And if you are giving your full attention to this, you will notice that that negative thought that you may have had before, it is gone. You have interrupted it. I will let you try taste and smell on their own because not everybody has something that they can taste or smell. But it is really about taking a bite of food or a sip of a beverage and just noticing what it is that you taste inside your mouth. Taking a sniff of something, which can be anything from a flower outside to the freshly laundered shirt that you're wearing. Whatever it is, just inhaling that scent and only paying attention to that scent. Now, I said when we started this that 10 seconds is all that you need. But the truth is that 10 seconds is the minimum that it takes. If you can get up to 2 minutes, even better. So that takes us through step 2 of this 3-step reset. Like I said, I wanted to teach all of this to you in a single episode. We'll dive deeper over the next 2 weeks. But the first step is to notice the negative thought. The second step is take command of your brain. In that second step, I hope you will notice that when you have that singular focus on your breathing or one of your sensations, it absolutely quiets everything else that's going on. When you're able to be fully present in that moment, then you are not actually having that negative thought anymore. And what you're doing in that time is you're actually interrupting what's going on, generally speaking, in the left side of your brain, which tends to be where more of the negative thoughts, the saboteur thoughts show up. And there's lots of neuroscience behind this, but generally speaking, over to the right side of your brain. And when you do that, you're allowing that positive thinking to come in. The third step is that shifting to the positive, or what we refer to as the sage brain in positive intelligence. And the very cool thing is that it automatically happens once you do that second step of taking command of your brain. So you notice the negative thought, you take command of your brain with what I call PQ reps, 10 seconds of focus. And then what you do is you have shifted to the positive automatically. And what comes up over there are things like empathy, innovation, exploration, creativity, and laser focused action. That's what becomes possible for you when you actually make that shift. And so those are the 3 steps. That is as simple as this reset can be. Like I said, it is simple. It isn't necessarily easy. It's something that takes practice. So when you're thinking about the job search, whatever it is about the job search that is bringing you down, what you really need is to reset your mind so that you can show up as your best self. When you're showing up as your best self, that's going to be what most enables you to find that match out there. If you want to figure out how to make this work for you, I would encourage you to go take those 2 quizzes. These quizzes are free. If you go up to my website, erikaparkerprice.com/PQ, and I will put that in the show notes for you as well. If you go up there, you will get access to the 2 different quizzes. The first one will tell you what your top saboteurs are. So you will know what those tendencies are. And what that will do is show how you are individually, uniquely prone to sabotage your own search. And of course, you're not doing this on purpose. These are things that are hardwired into us from childhood. This is how we are, but that awareness of it allows us to interrupt, allows us to take command of our brain, and allows us to shift over to the sage perspective, which is where we get access to all the best things: innovation, creativity, empathy, laser-focused action. All of that is on the other side once you're able to make that shift. So go ahead and take those quizzes. The first one will tell you your top saboteurs. Mine are controller, restless, and hyperachiever. The second quiz will tell you what % of the time is your brain actually serving you. It will give you a score from 0 to 100 on what % of the time on that given day you're thinking positive thoughts. Now, when you take this quiz, don't judge the number. I will tell you, the first time I took this quiz, it was 32. That means I was thinking positive thoughts 32% of the time. Now, it wasn't a particularly great day for me when I took it, but that means that more than 2/3 of my thoughts at that time were negative. And what did that mean? It meant I had a lot of room to work. I have a lot of clients who have taken this test, and I will tell you, no number surprises me. I have people from all the way down into the single digits, all the way up. So there is no number that is surprising. What it's doing is it is showing you what % of the time is your brain actually serving you positive thoughts that are going to drive you in the right direction versus the % of time that you're getting negative thoughts. So go ahead and take those 2 quizzes, and you'll be even more prepared for the next 10 episodes that we have coming up. So like I said, we're going to focus in on each of the saboteurs. Next week, starting on Monday, we're going to do the judge, because that is the universal saboteur. That is the one that every single one of us has inside of us. And then what we'll do is we're going to walk through all 9 of the rest of the saboteurs. So we will go through controller, restless, hyperachiever, hypervigilant, hyperrational, avoider, pleaser, stickler, and victim. We are going to go through those one at a time, and I'm going to do a deep dive on how that might be showing up for you in your search and what you can do to get beyond that. I'll give you a hint. It is really honestly the same no matter which of the saboteurs is showing up for you, but it can help to kind of understand them. So we'll do a deep dive on each of them, and then we'll keep going through that 3-step reset. That is what I have for you today. First is to notice the negative thought. Second is to take command of your brain. And the third step happens automatically. It will shift you over to that sage perspective, that positive thinking, which is going to give you the brain power that you need to power your way through a successful job search. That is what I have for you today. I am excited to see you next week. The podcast will be daily starting next Monday, all the way through those 2 weeks, and then we'll go back to a weekly cadence. Have a great week. That's a wrap for this week on Land Your Next Job. If this episode helped, please leave a quick review and subscribe wherever you listen. Share it with a friend in transition, and I'll see you next Monday. Let's land your next job together.